Hey, all right, friends, we're back with a Blaha video, man. We're going to react to the gym, lifting, recruiting, fitness, gear slaves new video he posted. So Blaha says the benefits of training a lift 3 times a week. I'd love to know, what are the benefits of training 3 times a week in the garage?
Hey everybody, it's JasonBlaha here, representing JasonBlaha Strength and Fitness, and I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about the perks or benefits of training a lift 3 times a week. But a quick reminder, if you guys will please click like down below.
Yeah, the perks and benefits, yes, I'd love to know. Will it make your face younger? Will it make it look more attractive? Will it make your body younger?
Below, be greatly appreciated if you're not subscribed.
How does Blaha's body look to you in his face and his head? Think it's going to grow back your hair too? Look at his body with his boobs hanging out. This old body. Think it's going to prevent you from looking like that? Not his training. My training will prevent you from looking like that, but his training will make you into that. See, that's the difference. Here's the difference between my training. I don't train for sarcoplasmic hypertrophy like Blaha or motor unit recruitment. I train for strength training. I train for strength and for myofibrillar growth. That's regeneration. That's based on regeneration. It's regenerative. But his training is not regenerative. His training is deteriorating. You understand me? It's degenerating. That's what his training is, to degenerate you. There's the opposite. People can train, but they're not sure. They're training to degenerate. My training is to regenerate. His training is to degenerate. So the benefits of training 3 days a week is you're going to degenerate. Now, what's the benefits of training once a week? You're going to regenerate. Get it?
Or following, please do so. And if you'll be kind enough to drop a comment down below, I would appreciate it. Thank you so much. So when I make this statement and I want to discuss these benefits, I want to be clear. There's always a trade-off, right? There's no free lunch. And so I'm not saying that this is the best, that this is the way. So again, people interpret it that way when I try different approaches or discuss them. Oh, he's saying this is the best. No, I'm not. It's not what I'm saying. There are pros and cons. Now, the real obvious one, and I think this should stand out immediately, of the negative before we discuss what you can get out of this, you're going to be more prone to overuse, okay? In other words, if you are bench pressing or squatting 3 times a week, bench pressing or squatting 3 times a week is a relatively advanced lifter.
Okay.
Not talking about as a novice. All novice programs have you do that. You are at a higher risk of overuse problems. You're at a higher risk of inflaming stuff, beating stuff up, eventual overuse injuries if you're not careful. Okay, so we do need to be aware of that, right? The total weekly loads tend to be higher on a set-for-set basis. It's going to be less time for that movement pattern to recover. So yeah, you are having some potential for higher tendon inflammation and things like that with overuse. So just be aware that is a potential drawback. And for many people, it's a drawback they don't want to deal with.
Okay.
So let's get that out of the way. But again, as you guys know, these days, at the time of this video, I squat, bench, and deadlift 3 days a week. Now
I squat and bench and deadlift 3 times a week, guys. You know. Okay. But then what are the other 4 days? What does he do besides squat, bench, and deadlift? Oh, he does the other stuff, the small stuff. Okay.
Do any real lifting other than bands or some abs or stuff on the off days. I just do cardio and running. So I have 3 lifting days.
Well, he's not training for myofibrillar growth to increase contractile proteins. That's kind of obvious, right? Now he's you could say this is sarcoplasmic training or motor unit training. This isn't even sarcoplasmic because he's not blowing up like a balloon. He's not. I don't think he's not exceeding that breakdown in glycogen. He needs to eat more. He needs to eat more carbs.
He's dedicated to running. So that being said,
dedicated to running. The only thing the steroids do that he takes are going to prevent him from wasting away. So all he's doing is breaking down proteins a lot faster than they're building up, which means I just told you, you are deteriorating. All right. That has nothing to do with regenerating. You're deteriorating. Your exercise is based on deterioration and not regeneration. My exercise is based on regeneration. I focus more on being in a positive nitrogen balance. I only go once to the gym. You only have to go once. That'll cause a cascade of events called micro damage, which will cause a cascade of events like macrophage will come out, the satellite cell will be activated, a whole bunch of things will happen. You'll be in a growth state. Now, to be in a growth state, you need to be what? In positive nitrogen balance. Protein synthesis needs to outpace protein breakdown. And guess what? You'll be in a regenerative phase the entire week. You'll be regenerating. You will not be deteriorating. You will not have an old face, an old man face, or an old man body like him. Get it? He wants to degenerate. So just do what Blaha does, and you will degenerate just like him with no hair, old face, and an old body. Old man, 85-year-old body. See?
A lot of my big lifts are being hit 3 times a week.
See how proud he is? He stands up and he goes, look. And he shows how proud he is that he has aged his body to look like an 85-year-old man. Mr. Shenko down the street with no hair on his head. Yeah.
With, relatively heavy weights. Not crazy, but, doing rep work of 500 on a deadlift 3 times a week. So, at my age. So let's talk about that. So why would we want to do that? What would be the advantages versus, say, even splitting the same volume up? Well, number one, more practice, right? You are performing an exercise more frequently. Okay? And this is before we get into perks of whole body and detraining week to week or something forces you to slide training down. We've done whole videos on that for full body. But let's just discuss the frequency end, right? Because you may not be doing this on a 3-day full body. I happen to be, not saying that's the only way.
See, you may not be doing this on a 3-day full body. Yeah, okay. What are you exactly doing? Hey, what are you people doing out there?
So, back over to that point, more practice. Okay, we all get that. We all understand that.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, I understand that.
More practice and more time to recover to get quality sets. Sometimes it's hard to do 9 sets in a row. So if we're talking maybe 3 sets 3 times a week versus say 9 total sets.
Sure.
Just using that as an example. Some people argue with the deadlift because I only do 1 set a lot of times. 1 set 3 times a week. I think that one's going to be.
He's not doing anything. Blaha's not doing anything. He's just lifting weight for no reason because there's nothing better to do. And entertain you by talking and showing you him lifting some weight in a garage. Yeah, which is just aging him, deteriorating him.
Really apparent the difference. You guys all know you're not replicating that load on the.
He's just a factory worker getting paid through YouTube. Get it? Because no factory would hire him because he's a lazy bugger. So he does these lazy workouts in his garage, but they're still deteriorating him. And he gets paid through YouTube. I don't know how much he makes, $100 a month on YouTube. And his total social media, probably, if he's lucky, maybe he might get away with 300, if he's lucky at that even. Maybe 200, 250, 300.
Right, if it's a hard set, it's.
I really doubt it. YouTube pays the most. So his other social medias, they don't pay that much. Like, what is it? Facebook he's on, Instagram? I don't even know what they pay there. But I know it's very, very little compared to YouTube. So if he's making like $100, maybe $150 here a month by pumping out 4 or 5 videos a day of nonsense, I could only imagine his other social media. So probably altogether, if he's lucky, maybe 200, 250 a month.
Real difficult to replicate that load. You can do it 3 times a week though. But let's get back over to the point of the practice. You're more fresh when you get to the lift each time. You're not fatigued from doing a bunch of other sets on it. You can get really high quality sets in it because you're doing them frequently. That motor pattern is just not detraining. Right, this allows you to get really good on the neural drive aspect. So that can't be discounted. I mean, perfect example. You do heavy deadlifts 3 times a week, you are going to train neural drive and strength. Like the neurological side is going to be through the roof. You're going to be peaked real fast on almost everything just because of the neural drive from that big lift. But we also get the practice of the exercise, especially if it's fairly heavy, right? We're not talking about doing really high reps when we say this. Now you start talking 10, 12 reps, form degrades, it's not the same exercises. You're not getting the same practice that we are.
Just throw the weight up in the air. Not getting enough practice, aging that body even more. Okay.
When we're talking about lower reps. Now, some
Look, having this dumpy physique like his, doing these stupid workouts. Look how proud he is. He's proud that, oh, I've destroyed my look. I've destroyed my attractiveness. Okay.
well, the other benefits will still come from high reps. Neural drive and technique, not so much. Like doing a 10 rep squat, it does not train you to do 1 to 3 reps in terms of the technique. It just doesn't.
It doesn't train you to do 2 to 3 reps. Okay, yeah. Like you need that. It's so important, man.
So again, so that we understand that.
You know how funny this is when you're listening to Blaha speak, bro. Sometimes I've watched some videos where I wasn't even doing a reaction to it, and I just started laughing. I couldn't stop laughing, man, listening to him because it's ridiculous.
All right, so that's going to be that. Next thing, how about total workloads?
Total workload. I like how he sticked up his head in the air. Boom. Look at that body, eh? What a dumpy little guy. Dumpy little man.
We all know that if you split the same volume across 3 days versus, say, 1, you're going to do more weight set per set, rep per rep.
Yeah.
In other words, your 3 rep sets, your 5 rep sets, even your 10 rep sets. You guys already see where we're going with this. 3 sets of 3 even on a deadlift versus 1 set of 3 times a week, you're going to move more total weight. You start talking 3 sets of a big...
You're going to move more weight, guy. You're going to move more weight. Yahoo! Now you could go and go and work for a furniture mover. Yeah, man.
Exercise versus spread out over the week versus 9, you're going to lift a heavier weight. You're going to get more workload, more...
I told you, many of these lifters have quit. Their channels, they quit. Max Strasny, he quit lifting, bro, more than a year ago already. He doesn't put up any more videos. He was a student. He was going to school and everything. He did powerlifting, remember? And then he went to try to do some bodybuilding stuff. It was very unsuccessful. Eat on Cocoa Puffs. So yeah, he has no muscle. It's just ridiculous. He showed up with a skinny body with low body fat. Because he never built any muscle. Powerlifting is not for building muscle, man. And it's part of bodybuilding, but it by itself is not gonna really help you build damage muscle to build muscle. But whatever. But can you increase the sarcoplasm doing powerlifting? Yeah, do a lot of powerlifting. Do a lot of reps to sets. You'll get the sarcoplasm through doing powerlifting too as well.
Tonnage for your total sets.
Yeah.
If you spread them out more. We all know this.
Oh, okay.
Right? This is more total potential for workload.
Sure.
Right? This is a good thing.
It's a good thing.
Right? This is a good thing. Could be some hypertrophic benefits of that. There's definitely going to be a neural drive and neurological benefit.
See, definitely a neurological drive benefit. Yeah, and what neurological drive? That you can lift a heavy weight now? It'll help you lift something. Okay, something a little bit slightly heavier. Might be some hypertrophic. What do you think it would be, this hypertrophic? What would it be, I wonder?
Benefit to that because we're moving just heavier weight in general.
Uh-huh.
But you see where we're about to go?
Yeah.
How about the...
You can literally lift heavy weight and not increase the sarcoplasm and not increase myofibular growth, but just increase motor units, right? You can also get fat eating slave food peasant diet and move for motor unit training, lifting 1 rep maxes, 1 or 2 rep maxes. Get it? You could just go to the gym and literally lift 1 to 2 rep maxes. But guess what? There are no physical benefits from that. There's no benefits from pumping up your muscles with the sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, other than it'll deteriorate you quickly. There's no benefits in just lifting a heavy weight, going to a gym, doing 1 or 2 rep maxes for motor unit recruitment. There's no benefit. There's no benefits there. But there is benefits activating the satellite cell for regeneration and building some contractile proteins. Yeah, there are benefits there because you are actually building muscle, which is astronomically difficult. Yeah, and your protein has to exceed protein breakdown to build it. The opposite of sarcoplasmic, which is where glycogen has to exceed that breakdown.
overuse end. We're removing heavier weight in general. So when we talk about the negative with the overuse, that's a big driver.
Okay.
Right? What about the muscle growth?
Again, you can come every day to the gym and you'll increase neural drive. Just keep lifting. You could come twice a day to the gym and you'll increase neural drive. Keep lifting all day. That's it.
Make those cases for improved muscle protein synthesis. You know, that's up in the air. I've seen people.
You know, when they say old man strength, what do you think they mean by old man strength? What do you think they mean by that? Myofibrillar growth. They must have done something to get some myofibrillar growth. That's old man strength. That means that it's based on contractile strength, contractile protein strength. So when you grab something or do something, you have natural strength because you increase the contractile proteins. They're pretty much permanent, somewhat. You can lose them if you starve yourself or atrophy.
Say, oh, well, this meta-analysis debunked that and this other, but we have all these other studies showing the individual, and then we still have some studies showing the benefit. Like, this is still a point of
The
contention,
benefit, what is it?
even in scientific literature.
Okay.
Okay? But there's still a general trend in some of the literature to show slightly better muscle growth from those higher frequencies with the volume split up. There's definitely data supporting it, particularly because intraset workouts, there's a limit to the amount of muscle growth we can stimulate per workout.
There's a limit to the amount of muscle growth you can stimulate in a workout? No, there's no limit to how much sarcoplasmic hypertrophy you can stimulate in a workout. There's no limit, providing the glycogen exceeds glycogen breakdown. Yeah. Building these phony muscles. Yeah. Now, as far as micro tears, there's a limit. It will only micro tear so many muscles in that session, and then you have to outpace it with protein. Get it outside for the next week. You have to be in a building phase.
Because I think people forget that. The training does not cause us to grow. It sends a signal to the brain to cause us to grow. Right? The whole...
it sends a signal to the brain. It causes us to grow magically. You just grow because it sends a signal. It says, hey, guess what? It's time to grow. From what, though? From tofu? How come Blaha's not growing? He's lifting every day here in the gym, right? In this garage. Why don't they just keep growing from lifting these things? Do they look like they're growing to you? Because I don't see anything. They look static to me. I don't see anything growing other than his fat head.
Of muscle damage being a driver of hypertrophy has been very heavily debunked even by...
Muscle damage being the driver of hypertrophy. But it is the driver of myofibrillar hypertrophy, muscle damage. Yeah. Volume training, when you come in often to the gym, that's high volume. That's associated with sarcoplasmic hypertrophy training. That's Blaha's training.
Scientists are like, it's just not true. It just doesn't appear to be the actual case.
It doesn't appear to be the actual case, guys. Well, I guess we're doomed. Because muscles are post-mitotic. They do not split and divide and increase in number. Only the satellite cell can split, divide, and increase in number.
It's a widely believed theory, but it's just not reality. So keep that in mind.
I love that. It's widely whatever, but it's just not reality. Well, everywhere in science it tells you it's reality. So I wouldn't take Blaha's word for it because he's stupid. He doesn't know anything. He doesn't even know how to train.
Mind, it is that signal. So that same signal more frequently.
Yeah, okay.
Right?
If you train properly, you'll get the results that you're looking for. If you train improperly, if you don't do what you're supposed to, then you won't get the results that you are looking for. It's really simple. And you may even get something fake, which wasn't your intention to begin with.
Assuming we got sufficient workload to cause a good growth response, probably and definitely on some data limit, there's again, some studies show it, some do not.
Whatever.
Right? And that's a big point of contention. Possibly more muscle growth because of more muscle protein synthesis uptime.
So how do you think, Blaha, how do you think myofibrillar growth does grow? How do you think these sarcomeres in series and parallel, how do you think they grow exactly? How do they form? Like, how do they just come about? How do you build them exactly? And how do you build sarcoplasmic? How do you build them? How do they build?
And it makes sense. Hey, you train a muscle more often as long as it recovers.
We know that eccentric exercise is associated with muscle damage. So all exercise has eccentric exercise. So there must be some damage there from the eccentric, right? If science tells you that eccentric exercise is known to cause widespread muscle damage, then all exercise has eccentric. Whether you're lifting concentrically, full range of motion, or eccentrically, all exercise has an eccentric movement to it. Now, how much microstructural damage you get to the myofibrillar, I cannot tell you. But I can tell you this. Protein synthesis needs to outpace that breakdown in order to see that mass on that myofibrillar, for those myofibrillars to grow that contractile protein. If it doesn't, you won't grow any contractile proteins.
Recovery being the operative term, probably has the potential for more growth. It makes sense, common sense, and there's some data to support it. But again, in the context of recovery. So there are reasons why we might want to do this, because again, if we're talking about the muscle growing, well, the same exercise makes the same muscle grow, obviously.
Well, if it doesn't, how come his muscles aren't growing?
And that's kind of the point. Even doing the same lift, you're going to have that potential hypertrophic benefit. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today.
So why can't he show it? Why can't he show this hypertrophic benefit? Why can't he show any of it? Because I told you it's all fake. He's just making up stuff. See you in the next one. Ciao, man.